Hey guys, we are back for another One Piece Treasure Cruise Treasure Map Teams breakdown video. This time we're going over teams for the Treasure Map to Super Evolve Charlotte Linlin, Big Mom when she was on the Rocks Pirates. And I gotta say, chat, first of all, I absolutely love this artwork of her fighting the little kid Eva and taking the devil fruit so she can give it to Kaido. It's super cool. Love this artwork. So for this treasure map and this team's breakdown, nothing really crazy going on with the treasure map itself. We are going to get some more limit break materials in the New World League for 1 million and 5 million point rewards, so yeah, I'll take it. That's great. There's going to be that One Piece Day celebration limit break material set in the bazaar. Other than that, like nothing really crazy of note, anything new here. So these teams that we're going to be going through will not require anyone from the TM batch, so no Sabo, Koala, or Hack. I did pull the One Piece Day Hancock because I love this Hancock. I think the art is awesome, and just her kit, I actually really do like her kit a lot. I know some people are a little iffy on her. I really like this Hancock, so we don't need any of the TM batch for our teams, but we do have one team that does include Hancock, so just be aware of that. And we're not building with Garling or Garp. So just note that also, by the way. So now with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the teams here. So let me get to the first one. So here we go, versus Teach. So versus Teach, recommended characters are going to be the free-to-play size Straw Hats, the Luffy, and the Sanji. And we actually did use both here because they were just really good for the team comp, and you'll see why. Super easy one, as the first one always is. All units get 5 turns of cooldown. So against, once you get to Teach, he's weak to fighter class. All slots are going to be changed to unfavorable. And he's going to have 1 turn damage nullification and 1 turn barrier unless you hit him with 2 rainbow slots. So again, that's why Sanji and Luffy just come in clutch here. Sanji's going to go ahead and remove your barrier and the damage nullification. Luffy is here really only to give attack boost because I'm going to use Coby to change our slots. So Kobe's clutch here. Since Luffy's on the team, you're going to get access to Super Fighter. Most of this team is Fighter. They may all be, I think. Actually, yeah, I think all of them are Fighter. So Kobe's going to make everyone into Super Fighter. He's going to give you a full board of matching slots. Also, Kobe's going to give you an orb buff and territory, so you'll get fighter territory as well. I put Lucci and Kaku on here because they're fighter. They're going to give you color affinity with their super switch as well as a chain boundary. Their chain boundary is better than Sanji's, so super switch and use their special before you use Sanji's special. Like I said, Sanji's just there for just the utility. I think Kobe removes damage nullification too, but Sanji will get rid of the barrier for you either way. Luffy's here only to give you the attack buff. He does do a slot change. No, his slot change is like in his super type, right? Yeah. Yeah, so Luffy's just there to give you the attack buff because you're getting the slot change from Kobe. And he's there to proc Sanji, removing those debuffs, because if you don't have Luffy, you're not going to be able to remove the barrier or damage nullification, so make sure you have that on there. You have like Luffy either on the team or as Sanji's like support. Bonnie's here just for points. She's Sai, she's fighter, she's a TM legend. Once I super evolve my Linlin, I'm going to put my second Linlin there just for some more points on that team. So Bonnie can be replaced with anyone. I just put her there. Like I said, she's Sai, fighter. Since she's a TM legend, she has good points. An easy sub would be Jinbei, the TM legend Jinbei. He's another Sai fighter. So Bonnie's your free space there, really. So then going on into Alvida and Coby. So Alvida and Coby, Eva and the Kumajini kids, they're all recommended here. Obviously, we're going without Garp and Garling's batch, so that also includes them, the rare recruits, so not counting them, our teams without them. Fighter, Striker, Free Spirit are going to get your cooldown. Alvida and Coby are weak to Free Spirit types. You're going to get hit with 9 turns of Despair, so 6 turns after sockets. You're going to get hit with 6 turns of super burn. So this is a burn where you take damage when you hit perfects. The enemy has immunity except for delay and defensive down. And once again, another slot barrier, but this time it's G slots for 2 turns. There's a lot of barrier in this, like, TM, by the way. I don't know why they went so crazy with, like, barrier, but there's a ton of barriers in here. So this one is pretty easy to build for, once again. I've got Koala here as the captain, since she buffs, like, free spirits, fighters. Her super type, you don't have to worry about it because we're actually not going to get it because we do have one character that isn't. For her super type, you have to have all fighters or all free spirit. We have one character that isn't either of those classes, so we're not going to get her super type, but it's okay. You'll see why that works out. Koala's good because she also buffs not just fighter free spirit, but dex. So this is primarily a dex free spirit team. And Koala's just here just because she just provides color affinity. She's just, again, TM legend, so she's boosted. She's going to give you like good points and stuff like that. So we have Karina, Nami and Karina here. You're going to want to start on Karina so you can super switch into Nami. By doing that, you'll mainly just get the base attack buff. We're not worried about the G slots and stuff, and I'll explain why. Like, that's like kind of secondary. Because we're going to use Nami's special to remove the 2 turns of barrier. And removing the 2 turns of barrier, she'll also give us an attack buff, is mainly like all we're going to get from Nami. So there we're going to get base attack, barrier, and barrier removal, and attack buff. By using their special with the support of Baccarat, Dice, and Mr. Tanaka, it's going to remove the 2 turns, or actually no, we don't have to use it. Once we get to the final stage, they will remove 2 turns of the despair. And then we have this Robin here with Luffy as a support. Luffy has to be a support. It doesn't have to be specifically the one that I have, but any Luffy. She'll remove the remaining turns of despair, and she'll also apply 80% defense down to the enemy since they're not immune to defense down, and then give you a conditional buff against defense down. So she'll just give you extra damage in addition to removing that. We have our orb buff coming from Ryokuyu. So he's just literally here to remove the 7 turns, or the 6 turns of burn, because he removes 7, and he's going to give you an orb buff to your Dex characters. Which you see primarily this team is Dex / free spirit, like I was saying. So obviously you would just tap with like Robin, Nami, Karina first, and then go into the other 2, or the other 4. Lastly, we have Morley and Karasu. Now, Morley and Karasu, you actually want to use first. You will get access to their super type because you can use it as a crewmate, and so when at least 2 are on the crew, so you have Robin and Koala are both there. And you see here, they're going to give us a resistance down, and they're going to change slots, but the main thing that we have them there for is the resistance down. Because I think we get slot change in other ways too, so I'm not worried about that. I think from possibly Green Ball, or Ryokuyu, I think we were getting some slot change. Either way, they'll give us a full board regardless of tandem slots, and we'll get that resistance down. You probably want to... Actually, yeah, you want to use Morley and Karasu first before anyone else, because they give you a way better base attack buff than Nami Karina. And they also give you this here that applies to effects of support, even if it's support effects, by a cerebral or free spirit character, a buff to type affinity. So Koala gives that. Class invitation. You won't get these chain ones. Yeah, so it'll buff Koala's color affinity. So you want to use Morley and Karasu first to get a better base attack buff than you would get with Nami Karina. And in that aspect of it, what gets cooldown here? Fighter, Striker, Free Spirit. Just to save you from like even swiping over, you can just star as Nami. You don't need to star as Karina, I mean. So start as Nami and then just reapply Baccarat support there. Yeah, that's the way you want to like run this instead, because they give a better base attack buff, and then that saves you from even having to do their super switch. So you would use Morley and Karasu's super type and their special before all the other ones, and that's just going to easily clear this one. Next, going into Dofi. So against Dofi, recommended is going to be the recently super evolved Perona Mihawk, as well as Hancock. Strength, Dex, and Psi are getting the cooldowns. The enemy's weak to Cerebral. All slots are going to be changed to block. The enemy is going to have defense down immunity, and they're going to give you, or they're going to have 12 turns of increased defense. So basically, Mihawk and Perona and Boa Hancock handle everything here. Basically, Hancock is going to give you defense down through immunity, so that takes care of that. In addition, if you're able to get 4 Kuja Pirates, which just forget about that, mainly 4 Paramecia type characters, you'll get territory. So just be aware when you're building for that. Now, obviously, if you run some mixture of Hancock or Mihawk and Perona as captain, and then the friend captain being the same character, you're already going to have 3 from your Mihawk and Perona and Hancock plus the friend captain. So you would just need to throw in 1 more Paramecia type. You can get that territory. Now, what you can do is, this is how I set up my team because Hancock's a higher point booster. You can also set your team up like this and use 1 captain Mihawk, 1 captain as Perona, because that would give you, you wouldn't have to use specials. It would save you from having to use specials. It would be a little bit faster if you want to do it this way. You would get less points, but it would be faster, because with 1 Mihawk captain, you get an attack buff for 5 turns, and with 1 Perona captain, you get a slot buff for 5 turns. And if you're worried about losing 1 turn from like a preemptive or whatever, with their super switch, which would be full, you see you can extend your attack and slot buffs by 1 turn. So you could just super switch on like stage 2 to make sure like you carry it in if needed. Like I said, I built my team where I'm running Hancock instead. Yes, I will have to use those specials so I don't get that attack and orb buff, but I built my team around where I'm getting attack and orb buffs anyway, and still meet the requirement of 4 Paramecia types for Hancock and get the higher point boost. So that's just my preference, but you can keep that in the back of your mind for when you're team building for this one. It's super easy as long as you have those 2 characters. You basically clear the thing. So just to fully explain how the rest of the team works, to get our other Paramecia type character, we're going to be using Bond Clay, which as you see here, Paramecia type. And you all know how Bond Clay is, treasure map MVP. You're able to change his class and type, so you obviously want to make him strength and cerebral to get the benefits. And the type advantage, he's going to give your team a base attack boost, and he'll give you a full board of recovery slots. And the recovery slots will be matching. Crocodile is here. This is the non-super evolved Crocodile. That's very important because we need the super evolved Crocodile for the next fight. You want to use the non-super evolved one here because the primary difference between them is, yes, the other one has the utility of removing paralysis, but the non-super evolved one buffs only cerebrals with his attack buff. The super evolved one buffs cerebrals and driven. So since this is a cerebral focused team, we want the non-super evolved one so we can get his chain boundary and a cerebral attack buff. In addition to Croc for the attack buff, we're going to be using Wanda and Carrot here to give us the orb buff. Now, you don't need to super switch or anything because they just give you an attack buff, and it's a less attack buff than what you get from Crocodile. And this is a full cerebral team, so you don't need to super switch or anything like that. Lastly, with Mihawk and Perona, by the way, when you super switch with them, you'll inflict a negative. Actually, you don't even need a super switch, just because the enemy's not immune to negative. So with their switch, you'll inflict negative to them, and by activating their special, you'll get a conditional buff versus negative type, and they'll also change all your board, all your slots to like matching. Also, by the way, so you also get by putting this chopper support on Carrot and Wanda, you'll get a 1.5 color affinity boost for your cerebral characters. So the chopper support's really clutch there. So that's where your color affinity is coming from. Another super easy fight. This whole TM I found to be pretty easy, actually. I thought this was one of the more easier treasure maps to build for in general. So up next, we have Crocodile and Robin. So this is the one you wanted to save the Super Evolved Crocodile for. So recommended characters are Linlin and Garling. So obviously we're building without using Garling, but we are going to make use of Linlin on this team. So cooldown is for Slasher, Driven, Cerebral. The enemy is weak to Driven types. They're going to give you 10 turns of Special Bind. The enemy has immunity except for Delay and Defense down. And it's going to be 6 turns of Rainbow Shield. So for this one, you want to run Buggy as a captain. This TM Buggy, he's just super clutch. He's one of the best TM legends in my opinion. I think that's unquestioned. He's got to be like top 5, maybe top 3 TM legend. Like he's up there. He's really good. So with his super class, you want to trigger it first. We do have the requirements to meet his super class because we just need like one of the 4 emperors on there. We have Teach. We also have Crocodile. I just realized, so we're triggering his super class because all you need is one of Cross Guild or one of the 4 emperors. So that's going to give you a class advantageous buff and change his slot to strength. Then when you activate his special, it changes everyone's slots to his current slot. So that way everyone will get a strength slot. They'll all be matching. And he's going to give you base attack buff as well as territory and a big resistance down buff. So Buggy just gives you some good buffs that are like not your typical buffs, like in terms of type, attack, and slot. But he's going to fill you up with like extra damage, just base attack, class advantageous, and territory. And this is a full driven team, so territory is going to be like max. Buggy you want as your captain because of this right here. He reduces special bind by 10 turns. So there you don't even have to worry about the special bind. Linlin is on the team so that way she can go ahead and reduce the rainbow shield. And she's also going to give you your color affinity buff. Now, I will say this, I would use Stussy before Linlin because Linlin does remove Rainbow Shield. Stussy's here to give herself, or to give the team a conditional buff because she does delay the enemy through immunity and she does give you a attack buff against delayed enemies. But if you look down here, if 5 or more driven characters on the crew, extends duration of crew's chain lock by 1 turn, doesn't really matter, applies 20% damage reduction to enemies for 1 turn. So I think since they already have Rainbow Shield, you would want to use Stussy first, and I think that's going to do like nothing. Then you would use Linlin and it would remove it, because you don't really want to just give them another Rainbow Shield, basically, you know what I mean? So use Stussy before you use Linlin. Next you want to use Crocodile. He's going to give you your attack buff as well as chain boundary. But this time, since Super Evolved one, it's an attack buff for Cerebral and Driven. And then, I forgot to note, when you use Buggy with this Doflamingo support on him, since he changes slots, he is going to give you a 1.75 slot buff to your Driven characters. And then Blackbeard's just here, just as a beat stick. He's Driven, he's Int, so Blackbeard is he's just there for the points also, so you don't really like need Blackbeard. So now we're going into the boss fight. So against Ace, this is the team I have cooked up, and I want to note that the friend captain is Rayleigh and Gabon. And that's very, very, very important that you use Rayleigh and Gabon as the friend captain. And you want to start on Gabon because Dex, Quick, and Int are getting cooldown. So just keep that in the back of your mind when we go through everything that's going to be on the team. And I have the TM planner pulled up here beside me so I can go through like the breakdown of the gimmicks on the iPad while I'm like looking at it here. So TM Batch is the recommended units plus Hancock and Garp. So again, we're not using any of Garp's batch. We're not using any of the TM Batch. We did pull Hancock because I know well, one, like I won the character, but I know more people would have been more likely to get Hancock than either of the other two, just because since that was an anniversary banner, there was a lot of like harder to get characters. People have been more likely to like pull on that one, and you only had to go to 15 to get Hancock, so it was more enticing than others. So I got Hancock, so she's the only one of these type of characters that we will be building around. So that being said, on stage 2 against Marco, he only has immunity to defense down. He's going to inflict you with 1 turn of crewmate fear, 6 turns of special bind, 6 turns of attack down, and 1 turn of hunger. When we get to Ace, he's going to have a weakness to fighter. He's only immune to delay. He's going to give you 9 turns of bind to your top row characters. All your slots are changed to unfavorable, 6 turns attack down again, 3 turns of defense up, 3 turns of rainbow shield, and 6 turns of threshold. So all that can seem really intimidating, but it's actually, it's really not. The second stage is handled literally, is carried by your friend captain, and I'll explain that here. So once you get in the second stage, the crewmate fear is irrelevant. You don't even need to worry about it. 6 turns of special bind, 6 turns attack down, and the 1 turn of hunger. We're going to go ahead and break that down. So here's where you want to use Rayleigh and Gabon. Rayleigh and Gabon are clutch for this event. And the reason why they are is, you see here, potential ability, hunger removal. Bam, that removes that. You don't have to worry about that. Over here, if you check their super switch, completely removes their special bind. And their super switch will be ready, by the way. It's only in 4. They're going to get, Dex gets cooldown, so start on Gabon, you'll have the super switch ready. So you're going to get their special bind completely removed. You're going to get an attack buff of 1.3, and you're going to get a chain multiplier boost of 1.2. Then when you activate their special, it removes crew's special bind, so now everybody's special bind is gone. And they're going to give themselves, or they're going to give the crew a slot buff. They're going to buff that attack buff that they have. So that's perfect. Wait, hang on. Adds to the attack buff if character is a crewmate. Okay, so you won't get, your attack buff won't be increased, but you will get the slot buff. So that's fine, that's fine. So you'll still have attack, orb, and chain multiplier buff from them. All the special bind is gone, and the hunger's gone. And the cool thing about them is this is even in their solo captains. If you check here, the bottom of it for both removes attack down by 10 turns. So attack down on both stages, you won't have to worry about it just by having them, and they completely clear the second stage. However, you don't want to leave the second stage just yet. After you use their special, you want to then go ahead and use Usopp's special, because he's going to inflict target mark status. Yeah, he'll delay the enemy and all that stuff. We don't even need to worry about that. Just worry about the target mark status. So target mark status, if you don't know, it's just free, like, double damage. So he's going to inflict target mark status to Marco, making that stage super easy to clear. Make sure you have on Usopp this support of Mr. 3, so that way when you get to the next stage, on stage 3, after you clear stage 2, he's going to get 2 turns of his cooldown back. In addition to, in general, you should have your Usopp broken with a key, because he's just, he's really good. He's boosted every treasure map. The target mark status is broken. He's just super good in this way. Like, having him limit broke with a key to get his cooldown to 13 makes it that much easier to use his special across stages 2 and 3 in this situation, like we're going to use. So you'll see like why that's important here in a second. So once you get to stage 3, and let me just switch over to Discord real quick so I can see like the order I want to like use the specials in that I noted. So once you get to stage 3, you're going to want to go ahead and first use Usopp's super class and then his special. So his super class gives him 10 turns of special charge. Same with like all the other Memories of Straw Hat characters. So in addition to the preemptive, the support that you have on him and this, as long as he's limit broke with the key, Usopp will be ready to go to launch again. That's going to give you a slot buff to your deck, shooter, and free spirit characters. Or an orb buff, I mean. So you'll get an orb buff, and then you can launch his special again, which you want to go ahead and do to, it's going to do the delay through immunity, which doesn't really like matter and stuff because there's no way that we're able to get conditional buff, so the delay is just whatever. The main thing is you want the target mark status for, again, that free extra, like, double damage. And he's going to remove the threshold. So all the threshold will be removed. After that, you're going to use Hancock. Now, Hancock is really, 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 really awesome in how this team is set up. So she's going to remove the 3 turns of defense up and the 3 turns of Rainbow Shield. She's also going to... Actually, wait 1 second. It's your top row that's binded. I forgot about that. So since your top row is binded, use Hancock before Usopp. So that way it will remove the bind on Usopp. So Hancock removes the bind. Now your captains are free. She's going to remove the Rainbow Shield and the defense completely. She's going to inflict paralysis to the enemy. Now, the final tap bonus, stuff like that, just ignore that. It doesn't come into play for this team. So she's going to inflict paralysis to the enemy as well as a paralysis conditional buff. The enemy is only immune to delay, so that paralysis will go through since it... so you don't have to worry about that. Most importantly with this team, you see here, if you have 4 Straw Hats, Kuja Pirates, or Logia type, you can double stack conditional buff. Now she counts as a Kuja Pirate and a Logia, so you have 1 there. Now if you look at the comp of the team that we have Usopp, Frankie, Nami, Carrot. So there's 3 Straw Hats. That fulfills the full list of it, so you can get double stacking conditional buffs. So that's where some really cool stuff comes into play here with Frankie and then Nami, Carrot. So remember, Hancock first, then Usopp, because you have to wait till the bind's removed. So then when you use Frankie next, Frankie is going to give you your color affinity buff, and that's pretty much all Frankie is here for, but this support of Zoro on him is going to reduce your enemy's defense by 80%. And Ace, again, is only immune to delay immunity, so he will get hit with that defense down. Then when you use Nami Carrot, super switch so that way you can get the resistance down, so just some free 30% extra damage, as well as a chain boundary when you activate their special. Now when you activate their special, that's going to trigger this Robin support, and this Robin support will give you defense down conditional buff of 1.3. So it's not the biggest conditional buff, but we are able to take advantage of the double stacking conditionals that we got from Hancock through the help of those supports like that. Lastly, you want to use Bluegrass. Bluegrass is here just to give you a full board of tandem slots, and that's important because it'll allow you to get Frankie's super tandem. So that's really all like Bluegrass is here for, is to give you the full board of like those slots and everything. Just making sure, was there any other reason I put Bluegrass on here other than that? No, other than like other than the fact that she is shooter and dex, so she will get Usopp's like super class, which you see Frankie will also, and she's gonna have type advantage because she's dex. Bluegrass is just there to give you a full board tandem. Like I said, you want to make sure you use her last so that the full board of tandems are applied. And just making sure, yeah, that way you get Frankie's super tandem. Okay, just because like the team for this one and the next stage are a little bit similar, so I just wanted to I was making sure like that is all Bluegrass was here for on this one, right? So yeah, that's the breakdown of this stage. You don't have an attack buff, but I'm not worried with all the other stuff we have, especially double stacking our conditional boost, having the color affinity, the orb buff, the chain boundary, and the set target status. I'm not worried about like the us losing an orb buff, stuff like that. If you want even more damage, you could put like a chain multiplier like support easily on Bluegrass. You could put like this Dofi and get +5 added, stuff like that. So there is, you could like add some more damage that way. I just didn't see a way to add in like a attack buff at all, but I'm not worried about it because I think this is going to do more than enough damage, chat. So now going on to the next one. This is the final one, the intrusion boss fight. This is against Linlin. So this team, the friend captain is going to be Usopp and Lilith. And Usopp and Lilith are super, super, super clutch in this fight, chat. Like, you have no idea how good they are. And once I saw, like, the gimmicks in this one, I knew, like, they were going to be, like, the MVPs of it. They're literally, like, as good as Rayleigh and Gabon is in the other one. Like, Rayleigh and Gabon, you just didn't have to worry about that attack down ever. With Usopp and Lilith, you just don't have to worry about the chain shenanigans we're about to get into in Stage 2 and 3. So, full TM batch is recommended here. So, for this one, cooldown is going to be for Fighter, Cerebral, Powerhouse characters. And here's where the chain BS starts. If your chain multiplier is 2.75 or less, you'll get 90% less damage. The enemy's going to change all your slots to block, then lock your block slots. They have Intimidation where they'll remove 2 turns of any of these chain effects. Chain multiplicative, chain additive, and chain boundary / set chain. The enemy's only immune to delay. They get 6 turns of defense up. They get a 3-turn slot barrier where you have to hit them with 2 deck slots. And you're going to have 30% damage reduction if you attack with a recovery, Wano, strength, dex, quick, int, psi, so type slots, Wano, rainbow, recovery slots. Stage 3, Linlin is weak to fighter types. Once again, here's this chain shenanigans I was talking about. For 12 turns, the chain multiplier is 3 or less, 90% attack down. And then chain multiplier growth rate is at ×1, and you get chain multiplier lock at 1.1 for 12 turns. So obviously you need a chain multiplier carried throughout. Intimidation once again, but this time it's 2 turns removed from your attack and slot boost. The enemy's only immune to delay. They have resilience, and they are going to inflict a territory. So this is a team we have cooked up. Remember, Usopp and Lilith is your friend captain, and we're going to go ahead and explain why Usopp and Lilith is. You're going to want to start on Lilith because of the phenomenal effect right here at the start, chat. Launches the following effect at the start of the quest. Sets chain multiplier minimum value at 3 to a maximum of 3.5 for 5 turns. Perfect. That just completely, you don't even have to worry about the chain boundary stuff. And all that like mess, you don't have to worry about it at all. Lilith's got us covered. And if you are worried about if you're going to like lose it because of preemptives, you see here from their super switch, completely removes despair and character slot, adjacent effects to bomb, blah, blah. Or slot and adjacent slots to bomb, doesn't matter. Extends attack and chain lock multiplier effects by 1 turn and adds a resistance down. So that's in 5. I don't think they have any cooldown for super switches or switch effects. Yeah, and reduces his character switch effect by 2. So they will be ready to super switch. So you will super switch them on stage 2. So that's important. So you won't have to worry about any of the chain stuff with them. So they're just super, super, super clutch there. So now that we explained why you want to take Usopp and Lilith, we'll go ahead and we'll break down like exactly like when you're going to use like each character when. So give me 1 second just to pull up the orders here. So once you get to stage 2, you're going to want to super switch Lilith to Usopp, use their special and their super class. So we just explained what their super switch does. You're going to get the resistance down, and mainly the most important thing is you'll become Usopp and Lilith, so that way you can trigger their super class, and you're going to extend the duration of that chain lock that she triggers at the start, which is super, super, super important. Her special, or their special, since both of them, you're delaying all enemies through delay immunity. Doesn't really matter. You're not getting a conditional buff Allows crew to perform super tandem through those slots. That's whatever for this, honestly. Reduces damage nullification. We're not taking effect of that. But here's the most important thing is just ignoring this because we're not going to be able to apply the weakness. But right here, if you have an attack buff when the specials launch, you'll apply chain boundary. After that, so if you don't have that, you will apply an attack buff for 3 turns. So that's the main thing, is because we have the intimidation on stage 3, we want to apply our attack buff on stage 2. So Usopp and Lilith, they're giving us an attack buff that we're going to carry into the next stage. And then I forgot their super class. So then once you trigger their super class, also it'll allow that to be increased up to 2 times, and it'll multiply your attack buff. So you want to do this afterwards so you can multiply that attack buff, and just to make it like that much more stronger and potent. So then on stage 2, now you want to super swap Robin into Koala and then use their special. So by super swapping them, you're going to get color affinity. When you use their special, if you have color affinity, you'll get a clock buff. You'll get color affinity on stage 3. So now, once again, you have this buff you're going to carry into the next stage, essentially. And they're going to give you a 3-turn orb buff, so we don't have to worry about that intimidation on stage 3 again. So we'll have our attack, orb, and color affinity buffs basically all set up for stage 2 and 3 with those 2 specials. In addition, they're going to remove 3 turns of the enemy's barrier. Now we don't have to worry about that slot barrier. Lastly, we're going to use Bluegrass. And we're going to use Bluegrass here on this stage because she removes defense up duration by 6 turns. So that just completely removes the defense up that the enemy casts. In addition to that, she's going to go ahead and give us end of turn damage for 3 turns. So we're going to carry that into the next stage, and then that's going to remove then we don't have to worry about the resilience that's on stage 3. She also changes all our slots, including block, into tandem. And since our slots are locked by the enemy, we're going to have a full board of matching slots also on the next stage too, which is super important. Again, that means we also get access to Frankie's super tandem once again, just like in the prior fight. And we'll have access to Frankie's super tandem across both turns, or both stages. So now, once you get to the final stage, you've taken care of like pretty much every gimmick but one. The only other thing is the enemy inflicts a territory, which I'm going to get to that in like 1 second. So first you want to super swap Nami, and by super swapping Nami, you'll be able to just apply that resistance down. You can't apply their chain boundary because you already have it, so they're literally just here just to trigger Frankie's like super tandem and also trigger Usopp and Lilith's super class. That was what was most important about why we needed like another Straw Hat here. But the resistance down is just a free 30% damage added. Afterwards, you'll go ahead and you'll use Frankie. He's not going to give us color affinity this time. He's really only here, again, just to have super tandem. And he's just going to give us some more resistance down. And after that, you're going to use Kizaru. Kizaru's here because you already know Kizaru is one of the best characters in the game. He's here because he has this incredible captain ability, reduces special charge time of the crew by 4 turns. He buffs Dex, Shooter, Slasher, and he is a Rainbow Captain. He boosts other characters. This team is it fully Dex? Yeah, this team is a fully Dex team or Shooter because we will have to switch into Usopp instead of Lilith, so they will be Strength. So you'll get the higher attack buff. Most importantly, he's going to give us territory for our Shooter, so he's going to remove the enemy's territory. Just make sure you have the Sentomaru support on him, because that way once you get to the final battle, he reduces cooldown by 2 turns, just to make sure Kizaru himself is ready. I also put this Roger support on Bluegrass, just to make sure that she's ready also, because she's on 15 turns of cooldown. Roger's going to give her 1. She should be ready. Roger will give her 1. Kizaru gives her 4, so that's 5. Because she's not going to get cooldown from like the captain. but she does get cooldown just for being boosted this treasure map. So she's up to 10 there, plus sockets and the ship. That's another 4, so there's 14. So yeah, she should be good to go because then the preemptive. So just make sure you have the Roger to like give her 1 turn of cooldown, and Sentomaru on Kizaru to give him 2 once he gets to the final stage. And all that being said, chat, that should be super easy to like just absolutely cook this intrusion. Being able to like layer our buffs that we're carrying from stage 2 into stage 3, and just clutch with like Usopp and Lilith being able to give us a chain buffs all the way throughout. It should be super easy, not worried about it at all, the damage on that one. If you guys have any questions or about like other units that you could possibly use instead, if you're missing some, I can do my best to help you guys out in the comments and stuff like that. Again, none of these teams need any of the treasure map badge, and they don't need any of the end of month badge. The only new character there is the One Piece Day Hancock. But again, that out of those 3 banners, that's the only one y'all should really pull on if you're going to pull on any of them. Because of it being the other characters over there in addition to Hancock. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I will be streaming the treasure map like I always do Wednesday and Thursday around lunchtime. So on lunchtime Eastern Standard Time, so around like 1ish, I'll be streaming. So I look to seeing y'all there. Super excited about this treasure map. I think we're absolutely going to like cook right through it with these teams. So that being said, hope to see y'all Wednesday and Thursday on Twitch. I'll catch y'all next time. Thank you so much.